Hello, my friends. It's Sunday, September 8th. If you're looking for Ukraine war news, you found the place. This is the Daily Brief. There are 1,270 Russians off the battlefield, 4 tanks, 19 armored fighting vehicles, 30 artillery systems, 47 vehicles, and fuel tanks. If we look at Andrew Perpetua's numbers, we're going to see something pretty wild. Let's look at this. Here it is. It's like 5, 6 to 1. That's a fascinating ratio. That hasn't happened for some time. Over the last few days, it's been basically 1 to 1. I'm not sure what to attribute that to. Overnight, there were a number of Shahed drones, 23 Shahed drones, 4 cruise missiles, 15 out of the 23 Shahed shot down, 1 out of the 4 cruise missiles. So this is actually a good night in the sense that we know that it's not Russia just saving up for a massive strike. This is the kind of thing that they normally do when they're not saving up. Russian explosive drones again cross into NATO's Romania. Ukraine destroys a majority during the attack, but what goes into your Romania, nothing happens. And that's because nothing happened last time. Strong words, don't do anything, but nothing happened. Ukraine's Air Force reported that a group of Russian attack drones violated Romanian airspace during a night assault against Ukraine on September 8th. The exact number of drones that breached the airspace of neighboring NATO member state was not specified by the Ukrainian army. In response, Romanian authorities issued a RO alert message to residents warning of the risk of objects falling from the airspace, but nothing's going to happen, so it's going to happen again because that's the way that the world works. Russian airstrike hit Sumy last night. Sumy is just on the other side of Kursk. This is the region that is in Ukrainian space. And it's been fairly rare that things have been hitting Sumy since that invasion into Kursk. The Sumy Oblast administration reported 2 dead and 4 injured, including 2 children. Houses and vehicles were damaged. Meanwhile, in Belgorod, Belgorod is just south of or southeast of Kursk, just across the border from Kharkiv. People in the Russian city of Belgorod complained of explosions, pictures of smoke being posted online. The local governor, this is the picture of smoke in the background. The local governor said a hangar on the factory grounds had allegedly caught fire as a result of a drone strike. So that's what we know about that, not much more than that. Okay, let's turn our attention to Pokrovsk because just yesterday, all the reporting was saying something to the effect that Pokrovsk have been stabilized and it can't come soon enough. It is September 8th, and first frost should come in about a week, maybe not longer than 2 weeks, and then winter should work in Ukraine's favor. But right now, well, okay, so yesterday we saw Russian advance in the Pokrovsk direction has slowed. This is Arthur Rehi. Ukraine was able to send reserves to this area, and Russia is suffering huge losses trying to attack. Russia tried to expand the flanks in the direction of Pokrovsk. Heavy fighting is underway. And then we also saw this from the ISW just last night. Geolocated footage published on September 7th shows Russian service members assaulting a group of Ukrainian service members in an armored vehicle in central Gordivka, east of Pokrovsk, indicating that Russian forces have advanced into the central part of the town. Additional geolocated footage published on September 6 indicates that Russian forces operating southeast of Pokrovsk recently marginally advanced in the northwestern town. Okay, so they are making some slight gains. Hopefully they can keep it slow because, again, winter is going to come. The mud season is going to come. This mud season actually has a name, Rasputitsa. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Rasputitsa. Rasputitsa from the Russian literally means season of bad roads. Okay, so the bad roads will be helpful in keeping, like, they only have certain paved roads, and if they can get to winter before they can be overrun in Pokrovsk, that will be really, really helpful for the Ukrainians. Why is it called a mud season? Mud season is the name given to the period between winter's end, late March, and spring start, when unpaved roads, dirt paths, and hiking trails become muddy mess. Well, that's spring, but there's also a fall mud season as well. Roads become impassable for around a month in fall and spring. So The longer they can hold out until that, the better. But it's a tough fight in Pokrovsk. Okay, phone calls home banned for Russian POWs in Ukraine in response to the shooting of AFU prisoners of war. This happens periodically where the Russians do this and create a video about it for some bizarre reason I can't quite understand. The ombudsman said the Ukrainian side, unfortunately or fortunately, cannot behave like the Russians. It's got to be maddening to know that while they're treating Russian POWs somewhat humanely, on the other side they're torturing and all out just eliminating. I don't even know how to describe the terrible videos that we've seen here recently. Okay, another Russian pontoon is destroyed in Kursk. 60,000 Russians have been brought into the Kursk against many times fewer Ukrainians. Now, I don't know about the figure of the many times fewer Ukrainians, but the 60,000 figure was articulated by Zelensky just the other day. And here is the aftermath of that pontoon being destroyed, or pontoon bridge. Russian tank got stuck in a pothole, was finished off by an FPV. This is the FPV drone about to see what's going on, and that's the aftermath here. So it's not a good day for that. Okay, interesting story. This is an interesting story from a Russian mobilized man titled Mistakes at War about the new battalion commander's decision to relocate mortars to infantry, which led to devastating losses from Ukrainian drones, resulting in more casualties in 3 weeks than in the previous 2 years. So the new battalion commander thought, well, if we move the mortars up to the front with the infantry, then it'll take less time for the mortar strikes to come, and that's probably true, and it'll be closer, less range, so it'll be more accurate, and that's true. But when you have to run each mortar shell a few kilometers up to the front, in order to get the shell there, and the shell weighs about, what is it, 35 pounds, or I can't remember what it was, but its shell is reasonably heavy. Okay, not long ago, our battalion commander was replaced. The previous one, a cautious lieutenant colonel, was replaced by a 25-year-old senior lieutenant. The old commander had many issues, particularly with coordinating between units. There was barely any. We hoped things would improve, but it turned out things could get even worse. One of the first bold decisions by the new commander was to move the mortars closer to the infantry. First glance, the advantages are obvious: increased accuracy, reduced flight time for the rounds, and ultimately more enemy losses. What could go wrong? Okay, well, a few things, and it didn't stop there. Another crew was hit while relocating, more losses. One soldier died. The commander lost a leg. Both were 25. They'd been serving. Oh, so they had signed contracts before the war. Instead of going the usual 2 years of mandatory service, they had been serving for 5 years. They were supposed to have these short-term contracts. The real problem after moving the positions was delivering the 120mm mortar rounds. For those who don't know, each round weighs around 16 kilograms or 35 pounds. Okay, that's what I was getting at. And so you have to either run it up to the front, or you have to drive it there, but the driving there might not work with it in a truck. So they were driving it in a motorcycle. What could go wrong there? Or running it up to the front, and so that's how you got these devastating losses with this in this scenario. Okay. Now, stupid also happens with the local population as well. This morning at a beach near Sumy, Russia, if you haven't seen tourists casually rolling a sea mine over the beach, then you have now. I honestly can't say that I've seen many things dumber than this. Now, if that is a sea mine, this is the most ridiculously stupid thing that I've ever seen. And these guys are just standing here looking at it. Okay. Great headline. As Russia kills children in Ukraine, West still protects Putin's warplanes. I think that's pretty fair. Now, the head of the Ukrainian presidential administration speaks about authorization to strike deep into Russia. In response to the delivery of ballistic missiles into Russia, Ukraine should be allowed to destroy the warehouses of these missiles with Western weapons. That seems only fair. But the West is not going to do that. The Biden administration will not go there. Talked about this yesterday. Revealed America's backup plan for Ukraine. The backup plan is this: we're not going to allow you to strike, and you want to watch this video anyway, right? But I'll give you the short answer. We're not going to allow you to strike deep into Russian territory. We're not going to allow you to use American weapons. But if you can build your own, and we're going to even help you build some of your own, and that's a long-term thing, but once you do that, then it's you doing it, not us doing that, so our hands are clean. Well, other than the blood of Ukrainians who will die in the process in the meantime, but that's what the backup plan is. Okay, Ukraine has invented its own precision-guided planning bomb. Okay, so same kind of thing. They have their own version of this kind of thing, so now they can use it against Russians, and that's okay, but it's not Americans that are implicated because we're apparently with you all the way until we're not. Okay, US-UK spy chiefs praise Ukraine's Kursk incursion. CIA Burns and MI6's Moore said Western allies should not be intimidated by Russia's threat of nuclear escalation. And they were back in 2022. They were really actually nervous about this. But at this point, we realized the red lines aren't red lines. And just because you have nuclear weapons doesn't make you tough. You still have to have a conventional fight if a conventional fight is what's called for. Okay, Peskov. Peskov's having to undo some of the things that Aludinov has just recently said. Russian Federation still have to do a lot in order to win the special military operation, Peskov said. Now, why is he saying that? Earlier, just 2 days ago when I highlighted this, Aludinov, the commander of the Akhmat unit, the Chechens, special forces, said that Russia had already won the conflict. So Russians believed Aludinov, and Peskov had to urgently refute the information of the Kadavarites, who have already defeated everyone. Okay, well, there's that. I just enjoy watching drones hit drones, and so that's why I'm showing you this. I just find this fascinating. Drone warfare. I mean, this is the way of the future, at least in the near term. And then finally, I'll leave you with this. Now, remember, you can only use US aid to strike Germans within the UK. Imagine if Roosevelt was saying that to Churchill. How bizarre, how silly this would have sounded, right? But that's what we're doing. And so Ukraine is fighting back by producing what will be necessary in order to have homegrown weapons that they can strike Russia with. All right, my friends, that's all that I have. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes. Thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.